Hello friends! I'm using daylight, so the light is probably going to change like a million times within this video, and I apologize, but we're just gonna have to deal. I really want to make this an informative, professional video. I have like so many notes on this topic, but it's probably just gonna turn into an angry rant, and I apologize. Just prepare for that. The other day I dressed up my friend Haley in Lolita for the first time for a piece we did with Daily Vice, and her first reaction was, "Oh, I look like a doll." And I was like, no, don't say that. Then I asked myself, why was that my reaction? I love dolls. When did looking like a doll become a bad thing? And I think the reason is because Lolitas are constantly called living dolls. I'm gonna assume right now that you're watching this and you know what Lolita fashion is. If you don't, pause this video, take a moment to watch Sugar Coated, to watch Weird Threads Lolita fashion, Kawaii School by Deerstalkers, super informative. Basically, Lolita fashion comes from Japan. It has European influences, started in the 70s. It has nothing to do with the book called Lolita, which Kawaii School also has a really good episode on that. Take a moment, educate yourself, come back to this. Alright, you ready to go? Do you understand? Alright, good. So now, living dolls. I think that the idea of living dolls came to terms around 2010 when Valeria Lukyanova, a living doll from the Ukraine, gained a lot of attention for her Barbie-like appearance. A lot of self-identified living dolls arose from the Ukraine around that time and afterwards, and then was spreading all over the world. Most people were interviewed individually, and they never really talked about like a living doll community or a living doll lifestyle. There is one thing that I noticed a lot of the interviewers had in common.
I'm inspired by mainly Japanese gyaru.
I discovered that I really loved Lolita and like dolly attire.
The face of the Japanese doll clothing line.
An interest in Japanese fashion, which made me question, is there really a living doll movement, lifestyle, sub-style, or is it just a misconception of fashions that are inspired by pop culture in Japan? I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it a million times. People overseas don't understand Lolita, Gyaru, Decora, Fairy Kate, so they try to give it a name that they're familiar with. But we need to take the time to explain the fashion and the community, or else we're gonna be associated with shit like this.
I just want to be the ultimate Barbie. I actually want to be brainless. You know, basically I'm just like his play doll.
Lolita fashion is already cursed with a name that's associated with a book by Nabokov, where Lolita is described as a sexually precocious young girl who lusts after older men and is lusted by them in return. Mix that misconception with the idea that we are weak and lifeless like a doll, and that is a fucking harmful, dangerous representation. Dolls are inanimate objects, so saying that we are a living doll is saying that we're less than human. I think this is partly why the media has run with it, because it's dehumanizing and it's shocking, and that's more entertaining for people to watch than somebody just say, hey, I'm a human being wearing a different kind of fashion. Because people like Venus and Valeria have gotten so much attention for being living dolls, which by the way, neither of them really identify as that anymore. Venus is just like, hey, I'm a person living in Japan, and Valeria has moved on to like new wave religions and fitness. Anyways, because at one point they got so much attention for that, the media wants to capitalize on it, and there's still Lolitas out there who are willing to call themselves that.
My style is dolly style. Dolly style is basically dressing up to look like a doll.
I am a living doll.
If you're a Lolita and you're being interviewed by a media outlet and they ask you to repeat yourself, but oh, instead of Lolita, can you talk about your dolly fashion? Can you just instead of Lolita, can you say living doll? Please, I beg you to politely decline, because they're either very misinformed or they don't have the best intentions. If you personally identify as a living doll, that's totally fine. Go do that. but make it clear that that's your personal decision and that it doesn't represent the entire community, and also mention that there is a community. The point of this video is that looking like a doll doesn't make you a doll, but oftentimes this can be confusing to the general public, so it's best to really explain yourself. As long as we are talking superficially, sure, we look kind of like dolls. Lolita fashion does have similar looks to Victorian dolls because Victorian dolls are replicating the fashion of that time, which is also what inspired Lolita. I love dolls and I take inspiration from them all the time, but I take inspiration from everything. Doesn't mean that, you know, if I have a strawberry cord that I want to be a strawberry. There's dolls that look like us. Angelic Pretty has done collabs with Dal and Pulip, and Vox has done collaborations with Baby the Stars Shine Bright way back when, and you could get a dress for your doll that matched you. Imagine that. The major conclusion, the one thing to really take from this video, is when the public asks if you're a living doll, please explain yourself to them so that the Lolita community can stop being perceived as objects. Until next time, stay lovely.